up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are just gonna focus on the brows. I'm actually gonna do a whole brow tutorial for you guys, so stay tuned and let's just jump right in. First thing I like to do is when I'm doing my brows, I'll take a spoolie and I know some people don't have a lot of brow hairs and some people have really full brows, but whether you have a little or none at all, it's always nice to just get them all lined up the same way. And as you can tell, my two brows, as most other people's, they are not the same shape. Even like subtly, they are not safe the same. They don't have the same amount of brow hair on each side. And an upward motion, and then as you're going up, just bring it outward where this tail end of the brow is just going to give you kind of an idea on what your brow shape should be. There are some people that have really super full brows, and what I would recommend for that is I would go get them professionally shaped or shape them yourself if you're confident enough. I know when I was way younger I did that and kind of messed my brows up, so just kind of throwing out some advice there. You might want to go get it professionally done if you've never had anything done to your brows and they are looking too full for your liking. One thing I will say is I am definitely not a pro at brows. I myself am still learning. This is just a video for me to show you guys how I do my brows. I do get a lot of questions, a lot of compliments. So if you do your brows better or easier, or there's just some way that you're more comfortable doing your brows, by all means, do them that way. Everyone has their own special way that they like to do their brows, and these are just my tips for you, and you can take it and run with it and make it your own and do your brows however you would like to do them. Start with an angled brush like so. This one's just a typical flat angled thin brush, and then actually go in with a powder of eyeshadow or brow eyeshadow, you know, just go in with some sort of powder. It doesn't necessarily have to be a brow powder. Honestly, I don't think I've ever used a brow powder. I always use eyeshadow because it just works and I already have it. So whatever shade your brows are, just pick that shade. I'm going to use this one right here. I'm just going to use this and go to the end of where my nose is, bring it all the way up until you meet with your brows, where the brush meets with the brows. And then what I like to do is where the pointed end is, I'll just take that and lightly touch where that area of skin is. Not too extreme, but there's definitely something there, a guide. And I'm going to do that to the other side too, with the pointed end facing me, facing my skin, and just going right up. And so now you have your guide right there. And I'll be honest with you, I have gotten so comfortable with doing my brows that I don't even need that guide anymore. I know exactly where they should be, so I don't need to do that. This is just for you guys out there who maybe have never filled in your brows or just struggle trying to figure out how to do it. So what you want to do is take some more on the brush, just on the pointed end here, put it right alongside your nose at an angle, going right through where your pupil and your iris is, just right down the middle. And you're just gonna place that guide right there. So that's where my guide is on the right side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the left. The last guide that we need is gonna be where our eyebrow should end. So we know where it begins, where the arch should be, and where it should end. You don't want your tail to be too long. The brows are the frame for the face, and how your brows are shaped is going to change the way your eyes are parted. It's going to change the way they look to others and to yourself when you're looking at pictures and in the mirror. It's going to either make your eyes seem further apart or closer together. You really need to focus on symmetry. And they're not going to be twins, but they can definitely be sisters, and that's what we're going to aim for. Okay, so for the last part, when we try and figure out where the tail is going to go, we want to put the brush at an even more angled. So we're just going to go past the outer corner of the eye, right where the brush meets my brow hairs, and that's going to be where it should end, which is where it does end. So it's pretty easy for me. I know some people don't actually have hair that extends that part of the face, and that's fine. You just have to kind of go with it, and you can try different things and different heights of the brow, whatever you like. I know I'm looking a little crazy right now, but just bear with me. If you've never filled in your brows before, I would highly recommend trying to place your guidelines with a powder. So I'll actually go in with a pomade most of the time. This is what a brow pomade looks like. It comes in a little jar like this, and this is my favorite to use with the angled brush. It just gives you more control. If you have the right one, you can create a more natural hair-like effect if you don't have full brow hairs. Whereas powder, if you don't have a whole lot of hair, it's just gonna look kind of chalky and your brows are gonna wipe away easier. A pomade has something to grab onto, even if you don't have hair there. A pomade, most of the time, depending on which one you get, can be waterproof, budge-proof. It just really depends on which one you get. That's about as much as I got on there. But you mainly want to worry about what's on the very end, not so much what's on the sides. I'm going to start underneath, and where I have these natural hairs is where I'm going to start. Even though it shows my guide is extended further, I'm going to start where I actually have natural hairs on the lower half of my eyebrows. And we're just going to be real light-handed. Depending on the amount of hair you have in your brows is going to depend when and where you should connect your arch. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that, and then I'm going to connect it to the tail. Okay, so we went ahead and we just connected the brow on the lower half. And instead of starting right where the hair starts on the top, we're actually going to start a little further back, closer to where the arch starts. Just going to feather this through my brow just to fill in the gaps. And then what I like to do with whatever is left on the brush is I will bring the brow hairs forward to where this guideline is. I go back into this powder right here that I was originally using, the outer portion of my brows, avoiding completely the inner portion. We're just going through the outer portion. Now is the fun part, is really what elevates brows, is the concealer. I do use a shade lighter than my own skin. I'm going to take this Blend and Perfect concealing brush here by Krylon and just take a little teensy bit of that on both sides of the brush just for good measure. Start underneath the brows. The same amount of concealer, and we're going to go right above. And you really have to be careful when you're doing the upper half of your brow because you don't want to cut into the brow you just made. You were carving out the brow. We don't want to carve it into a new shape. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see the difference there, but it is just so much more defined. It just is more crisp, and that's kind of what you want, especially when you're doing a really artistic eye look. You want a nice crisp brow to complement it. Another thing that I would like to add is sometimes I'll go in with a brow gel, and I've just actually recently started doing this, and this is just a shade lighter than my actual brow. I'll go through like the front part of my brow just to accentuate those brow hairs. Here is my right side brow next to my left side brow. So yeah, I would definitely say it helps elevate the brows. So I'm gonna go ahead and even out the other one real quick. Those of you who don't know, I am a studying esthetician, and in about 2 weeks I will be fully graduated and on my way to my aesthetics career, and I am so super excited. All the love and support is deeply appreciated. So I will keep you guys also in tune with that as well. And yeah, and I will see you guys in the next video.